All right, so let's just jump in. Rewrite the following trigonometric expressions in an equivalent form using blah, blah, blah. So what the heck does that mean? Well, let's think about what we got. Well, we've got pi plus theta, we've got pi minus theta, and we got 2 pi minus theta. So let's jump right in with cosine of pi over 3. Well, pi over 3 is 60 degrees, so cosine of 60 degrees is, boom, is positive. It's positive 1/2. So now let's look at the 3 different versions and see what we get. So pi plus theta. So we're talking pi over 3 or 60 degrees. So pi is 180. Let's add 60 degrees to that. So 60 degrees puts us right here. Now, does that give us a positive 1/2? Nope, so that's not it. Pi minus theta, so that's going to be, pi, so 180 minus 60. So that's going to put us at 120. Does that give us positive 1/2? Nope. And then finally, 2 pi minus theta. So 2 pi, that puts me at 360 degrees, or 2 pi. And then I'm going to subtract the 60 degrees. So that puts me at 300. At 300, got a positive. So then that's going to be cosine of 2 pi minus pi over 3, which equals 1/2. So there you go. So that's what I'm doing. So now let's look at cosine of negative pi over 4. Well, there's a couple ways we could do it. We could go back to one of these. So I know that cosine of negative theta is positive cosine, or I could just say, if I go to 0, start at 0, and I subtract 45 degrees, that puts me at a positive square root of 2 over 2, which is the same as saying that a sine of a negative theta gives me a positive. So that is positive square root of 3 over 2. Sorry, the positive square root of 2 over 2. So let's see which one of those works. So I'm going to go pi plus 45 degrees. So that's going to put me right here, and that gives me a negative. So nope. So let's say pi minus. So I got pi minus 45. Does that give me a positive cosine? Nope. So then it's got to be 2 pi minus 45 degrees. Yep. So it's going to be cosine of 2 pi minus pi over 4. And that equals the square root of 2 over 2. Straightforward, right? So sine of pi over 6. So that's sine of 30. So let's go with pi plus 30. So 180 plus 30, that gives me a negative. So no. So then I've got pi minus 30. So pi minus 30 is going to give me a positive sign. So yep, that is going to be sine of pi minus pi over 6, which equals positive 1/2. Okay, so let's look at the next one. So write it down here because I'm tired of squishing on myself. Okay, so 4 pi over 3. So what the hee-haw hey is that? Well, 4 pi over 3. That is sine of 3 pi over 3 plus pi over 3. See, I just did some fraction addition. You know, I looked. 3 goes in there one time, so there's a whole. So then that's sine of pi, excuse me, that's sine of pi plus pi over 3, right? And so what is that? sine of pi plus theta is negative sine, which is where I am right here, sine of pi plus theta. So that's going to be negative sine of pi over 3. And what is negative sine of pi over 3? It is negative 1/2. Ouch, 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 ouch. No, I'm sorry, pi over 3. So negative of pi over 3 is the square root of 3 over 2. So that's the square root of 3 over 2, but that's going to be negative. So now I need to think of which one of these, because I know it might have seemed confusing, but first I had to get to what my value was. Now I look at these and say, which one of these gives me negative square root of 3 over 2? So let's go with pi plus the square root of 3 over, let's go with pi plus pi over 3. So pi, right? And then plus pi over 3, that's 60 degrees. So right here, do I get a negative? Yes, I do. So my answer for this is sine of pi. No, that's not it. Sorry. Because duh, that's what we just did. Okay, so let's try that again. So I know that this one is what I used. So I need to figure out which one of these gives me the same. So let's go. I go to 180, that's pi, and then I subtract 60. That gives me a positive. So then process of elimination, I know what it is, but let's do it anyway. So I go to 2 pi, or 360 degrees, and I subtract 60. And that gives me a negative. So yep, so this equals sine of 2 pi minus pi over 3, which is that. Now let me just make sure we're clear. When I did this initially, we didn't do that. We've been sticking to pi over 3, pi over 4, and pi over 6. So if we get to something like that, we had to do a little finagling, which gave us this, which said it was negative sine of theta. Well, I don't want to say which one of these is equivalent because obviously this is equivalent to itself. So not really, breaking any waves there. So that's why I had to go for the next one. All right, so that was D. Let's jump into tangent. So I need tangent of negative pi over 6. So let's see what we got here. Okay, so tangent of negative theta is negative tangent of theta. So that's negative 30 degrees, right? So tangent of negative 30 degrees is going to be negative because I can tell that these two values, one is positive and one is negative, right? So that's going to be negative square root of 3 over 2 divided by 1/2. And so that's going to just be the square root of 3. What was that? Negative 60 degrees. Well, tangent of 60 degrees is the square root of 3. So tangent of negative 60 degrees should be negative square root of 3. Just confirming what we already know. So this right here is going to be negative square root of 3. So now I need to figure out which one is going to give me negative square root of 3. So the thing is, I'm looking for one value to be positive, one value to be negative. So let's start from the top. So I'm going to go to pi, and then I'm going to add pi over 3, which is 60. Both of those values are negative. They give me a positive, so that ain't going to work. Oop. Okay. So then what's next? So I've got pi minus. So let's go. That's pi minus pi over 6. So that's going to put me here because 180 minus 60, that's going to put me right here. One value is positive and one value is negative. So that should put me where I need to be, which is, I'm going to say, this tangent of pi. You know what? That doesn't work. Because here's the trick. I'm dealing with, oh no, I guess that does work. I'm dealing with a negative. So I'm dealing with a negative. Let me see. So I got that and I subtract, right? Yeah. All right, so that should equal. All right, finally, let's see what we got. So I'm dealing with this right here. So that is, so I've got negative 5 pi over 6. So how do I deal with that? Negative 5 pi over 6. So then if that's negative, that would be negative tangent of 5 pi over 6. So then that would be 2 pi minus pi over 6, right? Because that is, no, nope, not 2 pi, sorry, that would be pi. All right, because pi is 6 over 6, right? Minus 1 over 6, that would be 5 over 6. So that right there is going to be, so that is going to be 180 minus 30. So that's going to put me here. But that is a negative on the outside of that. So that's going to put me here, which is going to give me a negative tangent because remember this is sine divided by cosine. And so if one is positive, one is negative, that's a negative. That's the negatives are going to cancel each other out and you're going to get a positive value, right? So what is pi over 6? Pi over 6 is 1 over the square root of 3, which is the square root of 3 over 3. So I need to find out which one is going to be positive square root of 3 over 3. Which one is going to be the positive square root of 3 over 3? So let's look. Now, because this is positive, I'm looking for sine and cosine to have the same sign. So let's see. We ended up using pi minus. We ended up using this one. So we got to see which one of these is the same. Which one of those gives us positive? So right here, I'm going to go with pi plus pi over 6. That puts me right here. Boom. Pi plus pi over 6. That gives me my positive value. Yes, no, no, yes. Are we all blessed? There we go. So we're going to leave that alone and we're going to stop That was interesting, wasn't it?